think.
Give me a clean start
I
whenever.
think we're live. I think it's a thing now. Hey, I do think we're actually live. I think it's happened. I think it's going on now. We're waiting for chat responses, but I think it has happened. Waiting for people to know it's live.
If you can hear us, say something, say anything.
Yes, hello. I would have thought, hey, wait, it looks like it's happening. Oh, good. I'm getting an ad before my own podcast. Look, I got an ad before my own podcast. Hey. I feel excited about myself now, though.
That's part of the deal, right?
Yep. Everybody's here. We're good. We're going. I am going to do the pop-out chat thing because that does help.
Yeah, see?
Hey, look at that.
Okay,
look
good.
All right, good. Put that over here. I'm sorting everything out. Sorry, a little bit of business before we get started. Sorry about that. All right. Good.
All right, here we go.
We're going to really do this now. It is 7:00, so maybe we should go.
I think so.
Hi, everybody. Podcast 925. We're less than a year away from the 1,000.
The numbers just keep going up.
I do want you guys to know there will be a 950. That will be all questions, no cars. There will be a 975 live one. That will be all questions like this format.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do 1,000 sometime after the first of the year. We want to try to start sharing with you the plans for the 1,000. They're big and then they grow, which is weird.
The plans are formulating, but
it's very cool. We're really excited to be back with you live here on the Test Drive Videos channel. Reminder that our original channel, Everyday Driver, is big videos. Test Drive Videos is every Sunday. It is some single standalone car. Most of the time it's two of us in car. Sometimes it's POVs. That's cranking along while we build some monster road trip films on the other side.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're thrilled to have you guys with us. This will be all questions and go very, very quick. And I'm really excited about doing another live one.
Hey, look, our friend Jordan Schieffer from Out of Spec, he is on the chat as well. I think he's on a road trip currently, so I think we're on his phone in the car somewhere. And Jordan, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. We've got a few questions on Instagram, but thank you guys for writing your Topic Tuesdays, all the car debates, car conclusions, as I always ask for. Thank you. Really appreciate it. We've got a great stack going, so it's nice to sort through that and see what's going on. So we got to get to car conclusions again here soon.
Yes, we got.
There are many people are buying cars.
It's really wonderful.
I'm jumping into an Instagram question, starting with Mr. McGillicuddy asking how soon we can get that check to open Everyday Driver Land. I have never heard of Everyday Driver Land until now. Mr. McGillicuddy has forced himself to do a bunch of drive homework within the last few months to figure out what he's looking for. But we get a better perspective of vehicles and how they relate to each other, and especially being able to drive something back to back. And so that is what he's discovering.
That's what he wants Everyday Driver Land to be. It's all
Everyday Driver Tania or something.
All bad. Then we have to figure what the actual residents of Everyday Driver Land are called.
Is it just a track, or is it a big acreage with roads?
It's the transport we keep talking about that shows up at all the Hooked on Driving events. That's really what it is. It's a traveling circus, which circus is the key word there. So that's the thing. Another question that I saw earlier, that is Jay Bren Official on Instagram said, what is the pettiest annoyance from other drivers? It isn't necessarily risky or unsafe that we see nowadays.
Okay.
I don't.
A lot.
Well, true.
A lot of things.
I have a couple. One is use your turn signal. I mean, I realize we all navigate, and most of the time we don't use turn signals. Just use your turn signal. I can't read your mind. You can't read my mind. Just use. It's so easy to just flick, and it does the three little blinks. It's the easiest thing ever to tell the people around you what you're doing. That's one. The other one is when there's a sign that says we're merging in a mile, everyone gets over now.
Yeah, true.
And then they get angry if you don't get over now. The zipper merge was a concept we were all actually taught when we were starting to drive, and nobody remembers it. It's all, we got to move as a unit. And I was actually driving with my family a week ago, and we got to one of those zipper merging in a mile. We didn't get over right away, and I went down a few cars, still had a full lane, by the way.
Yeah.
And a guy from the right lane where we were merging to pulled into my lane, but kept pace so he could block me.
Oh, to try to block you.
I was like, really?
Oh, good.
This is what we're doing? You feel better about yourself? Those are the petty annoyances that I'm going to go with for sure.
Keep talking. I'm going to try to fix the mics here.
Are we having some pops and stuff? We may have cables laying over each other, but anyway.
Hopefully that's a little better. Turn down the board underneath the table here, and hopefully let me know.
Richard Damiano is saying, with Toyota killing off their V6s, I think they already have, and Lotus not offering the V6 option in the Amira on the configurator right now. Isn't that weird? And also, I don't know when the 4 cylinders are getting here, but whatever. He's saying, what would be a good replacement option for that engine and a manual transmission in the Amira? That's hard. What do you put in otherwise? Because you can't, because I would go BMW, but I don't think an engine's going to fit.
I mean, we'll make it fit. If it doesn't fit, make it fit, right? Take a Sawzall and cut some aluminum, right? Speaking of engines, Kay is talking about BMW's B58 engine. The internet adores it because it's capable and reliable. In our opinion, is it overhyped or rightly hyped? Steve M is so over the B58 bros. I didn't know that's what we're calling them. There's crypto bros.
There's a cult growing around the B58. There is a cult growing for sure. Yeah,
which is fine because for years everybody talks about how unreliable BMWs are, and there's going to be lots of maintenance. And when there is an engine and a product from BMW that is great, let's celebrate it. Let's lean into that.
I agree. Yeah,
it's not every engine from BMW, so they've kind of harkening back to their legacy, I think. So I'm not going so far as to say it's the best engine in the world, but if it's a good one, hey, I'm glad it is.
It's proven itself. It has been reliable. I mean, remember when they put that engine? Here's irony: when they put that engine in the Supra, and Toyota went with that engine, the internet freaked out. Because how dare Toyota do a BMW engine? It's not going to be reliable. Cut to Toyota puts new engines in their trucks, and Toyota's engines are being recalled. This is bizarro world.
It seems like our audio is still staticky. Sorry about that.
Not really sure what's different than before, but okay. We may have cables laying on each other. But anyway.
Try to change a few things. We'll keep working on it. Thanks for your feedback, guys. Appreciate it.
Justin Schultz says, what automotive developments are common today that we didn't see coming when we first started on YouTube? Smartphone integration. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. To the point that I'm spoiled now when I get in a car and it doesn't have it easily accessible. I'm like, what's that about? But when we started, nobody was even discussing the possibility that your phone or a device you carried with you would supersede the device in the car. That's not going to happen.
The Adventures of Misty and Mike write to me. They're drinking High West Cask Collection whiskey aged on Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. They're local to me. What are my thoughts? I think that's excellent. I always like how Cabernet barrels just kind of round off the edges. I do like a glass of that, but not right now. I'm glad you're drinking. Glad you're relaxing, and thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. I'm all about it.
I'm going to. It's confession time for me.
Oh yeah.
I read Mark the Watchman's question, and I realize there's something that I've done that I haven't even admitted to you, and I know I'm going to admit it publicly now. It's what's your funniest or most embarrassing moment you've had while driving?
I see that. Yeah,
I just had one recently that I am very embarrassed by, and I probably shouldn't admit it publicly, but I'm going to do so just to prove the fact that we all fail and we all screw up.
Yeah.
Okay. As much as I want to be a decent driver, the last weekend I went to Cars and Coffee with my son Bodie. We took the Amira. Okay.
Right.
The Amira is parked in our garage. I've told stories about it before. It's kind of tight in there, but it's got enough space. It's parked in our garage. But because it's parked in our garage and all the modern cars have sensors, when I turn it on to back it up, the sensors are all beeping about something. It's with a clear sailing out of the back of the garage. The car is still beeping because I'm close enough to this edge and that edge. And I always watch when I back out. I know how to back the Amira out cleanly. I always watch the passenger mirror because not only does it tilt down to look at the back wheel, but it's the corner of that mirror that's the closest to hitting the garage. So I watch that corner of that mirror. I got in the car to back it out. Now I back it out at less than walking pace because I'm worried about that mirror. And I'm backing and I'm backing and I'm back like snail's pace. Bodie and I are talking, I'm backing up, and the car comes to a stop while backing up.
Okay.
And I look in the rearview mirror and I realize the night before I had parked the older Cayenne with the bike rack backed up next to the space where the Amira parks with the bike rack facing because we were going to take my son to bike camp until it got canceled because of rain. I didn't think about it. I climbed in the Amira. I started it. I opened the garage. I'm looking at the mirror and I'm hearing beeps that I'm ignoring. I backed the Amira slowly into the bike rack of the Cayenne. Much cussing ensued.
Was it okay?
Moments of my son looking at me like, did you actually just do that?
Really?
So then I pulled back up and realized, here's the incredible ridiculousness of it. The moment the part of the bike rack that it hit and stopped the Amira's movement was directly above one of the backing sensors, like a half inch away from the backing sensor.
So it's freaking
and it
out.
just pierced the PPF. That's all it did.
Oh my gosh.
But there is nothing more terrifying than suddenly having a vehicle stop and you don't know why. Anyway, so yeah, that's my latest embarrassing moment. There have been many, and I probably shouldn't share it, but there you go.
This is awesome. Great questions, guys. Thank you so much. Let's see.
The only thing U.S. drivers do worse than zipper merge is roundabouts. That is correct. That is correct, sir. We have a lot of roundabouts here.
Huge one, yes.
And people do not get it. They don't get it.
Let's see here. I had a Grio's Garage question in here somewhere. Oh, Paul Kramer, if Grio's releases a piano black cleaner, will we drop them as a sponsor? No.
You got to do something with piano black.
We encourage them to do all kinds of niche products like that because, hey, it's memorable and this stuff is so great. I hope you're using them. I hope you've used the code. I hope you've discovered them. We will be doing a film with them shortly here. We've got some plans here, and we'll definitely be doing some stuff on social media, but yeah, very soon. So early September. Very excited to see those guys again.
Let's see. Oh, interior detailer is great for wiping piano black.
Yeah, interior detailer is excellent for everything.
Yep, for sure.
Yep, exactly.
And interior detailer is different than interior cleaner. Interior cleaner actually gets things clean. I can't believe I'm doing this. Gets things cleaned, but interior detailer kind of keeps them staying clean and dust free.
There's a difference.
Yeah, there it is. Mm-hmm.
Mandy wants to paint this wall behind us with the backdrop paint colors inspired by Porsche. She wants it Ruby Star. That would be loud on camera.
No.
I mean, I like the idea of paint, but maybe we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of visual interest here going on. So
PR33TU, do we think buttons will make a comeback in luxury vehicles? Why do normal cars still get buttons even though they're more expensive? Watch the flip happen. And I think it was interesting when the guy behind Rimac, Matti Rimac, who now takes over Bugatti, talked about the fact that he's recognized with their customers that EVs with touchscreens are not interesting enough. They want buttons back. Look at the new Tourbillon, Your Billions, the new Bugatti Your Billions.
Your Billions.
Yeah, that one is now all gauges and stuff. I do think because that is more expensive to produce, we're going to work that way. Keep in mind the buttons that you're seeing right now in cheaper cars are cheap buttons. But what I'm seeing is, I know this is weird. If you ever get a Rolls Royce and you touch buttons or switches in there, you can tell the car's expensive. You could have been sat in there blindfolded and just done the button and gone, this is an expensive car. That's what we're going to see, I think, because it's going to be the separation between, the people that can afford that and the rest of us.
Let's see. Tunnel Vision 3 is getting ready for a Supra complimentary NASA track day in October. Do we have recommendations on how best to apply numbers on the side of the car? Sometimes they will supply numbers, but Hooked on Driving is known for supplying numbers, a small charge, but we've got numbers at our track day events. But please don't create numbers out of blue painter's tape. That seems to be a typical solve. I mean, if you have to, you have to, right? But it's not as legible as you think it is. And it doesn't always stay on. So the vinyl numbers, sometimes they have them at the track for sale, so you can just choose a number and get it on. But high contrast is very important for the marshals to see your car, to be able to call out your number. And sometimes, depending on the color of your car, the blue painter's tape doesn't really work, and everybody's creating their own font, and it's hard to see what exactly
font
is the
being
number.
Generous. The font is really generous.
Because everybody just tries to do a block number, and you don't want to get confused. So it's not ideal. People do, but ideally get the vinyl numbers, and sometimes they can get those to you at the track.
Kay asks, do we think manufacturer-backed certified pre-owned vehicles from dealers are worth the premium? I think only if it comes with some sort of warranty as a result. If it doesn't, the thing is, you could get a really good pre-purchase inspection by a mechanic you trust and does a good job on a car that's not pre-owned. And sometimes those pre-owned vehicles, because it just ran the checklist, they missed other things that a better, more thorough look would have done. So again, if it comes with an extra warranty, bonus. Otherwise, I think you could do it yourself and save the cash.
Adam H, let's talk furniture, asking what type of chairs are we sitting in? He sees the nice exposed ply on the sides. Yes, these are cafe chairs that I bought from Design Within Reach over a decade ago, and they're super comfortable. They're a little bit thin. I mean, they're thin and nice. I'm hoping that we can upgrade at some point to some nicer specific podcast studio chairs. But for right now, they work great, and they're just like a clean, simple cafe chair that I liked, and I use them in the studio, use them around the house, and yeah, let's keep talking furniture. Love it.
Ryan is asking if there's anything about the Amira that I don't like or frustrates me. There's some Amira adventures that happen in our new road trip film. We've actually been editing that right now, so I don't want to ruin some of that because some stuff happens with the Amira on that. I mean, obviously I'm still driving it, but there's some stuff happens there. I don't want to undermine that, but I will say this: the reverse lockout sometimes sticks.
Yes.
Not always, but sometimes
Yes.
sticks. And it's not obvious that it's done so because the lockout section of the stick and the ball head are exactly the same color. So when it sticks, you don't necessarily know that it's happened. And then the way that the shifter responds is all wrong all of a sudden. And then you go, oh, well, that's why. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like, what just happened there? And I'm completely thrown.
Did we talk about manufacturer-backed certified pre-owned vehicles?
We just did that. Yep.
We talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you have more to say on it, but yeah, feel free.
I had other thoughts. I'm trying to remember, but I mean, mine was the Cayman was.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate the service that had been done before I bought it.
Well, and you also got it certified pre-owned from the dealer that the guy had originally bought it from. I mean, there was a full chain of events on that car, which I totally get that.
I mean, they just moved money around the dealer, but the sales department had to pay the service department to be able to certify it to then go sell it. So I did like that. Yes, Mandy is talking about my shirt. That is the Pilgrimage 2024 shirt. And Nate designed them for us. So the back of the shirt has both tracks and all of the track corner names on the back. So you can kind of see the logo, but it's really just for pilgrimage attendees only. So we do special shirts, and Mandy is behind that. So thanks to her, she does a great job in doing specific shirts. So you want to collect all the shirts, you got to come on the pilgrimage trips with us.
Collect the whole set.
Collect the set. It's going to be ongoing forever.
Go on a trip to Europe to get a shirt. That's exactly what you should do.
Super expensive shirt.
Thomas Patrick says, how do I find the all-weather tires on our family Cayenne? You know, honestly, they were pretty great. My wife doesn't drive on major blizzard days. Both of us work from home most of the time unless we're out of town shooting. So there's not like a daily commute she has to do or anything like that. The Park City roads get heinous, but there's a lot of really good plowing on I-80 and that kind of stuff. So I knew it wasn't going to be a make or break situation, which is one of the reasons I put all weathers on, even though I think our area just left to my own devices, I would have gone winters. And I had always gone winters and summers or winters and summers. But those 21-inch wheels, those tires are hard to find. And I was just like, I don't want to mess with these monster wheels twice a year. So when Vredestein offered the all-weather tires for that car, I thought, let's give this a shot. And honestly, I had last year, I can't believe this sentence, but the two Cayennes, I had the old Cayenne on full winter tires that were 3 or so seasons
ground
old.
Those into dust.
I have since, yes, but they were like 3 seasons old. And then I had my wife's Cayenne on brand new all weathers, and I would say the all weathers were 90% of the full winters all of last winter. So I'm actually feeling pretty confident about them and very pleased.
Anthony Gothard is asking, where is his Homer? Why isn't there an off-the-shelf commuter car with a built-in fridge, properly done with a second battery, and the compressor mounted outside the cabin, and a flip-out work table? I thought that was called a Rivian. Could car manufacturers? Well, no, they'd run into licensing, wouldn't they? If they went after all the joke cars that have been brought up in film and TV shows and actually kind of did their own spin on it. Like, what if Rivian had the Homer because of the slide out grill
I take your point. Yeah.
You know, they could connect with people like that.
I think the problem is that since the Homer is known to be a joke and a disaster, I don't know that any car company wants to get close to it. That's the problem. Yeah. That's the issue.
I suppose so, because most of them are mocked endlessly.
Yeah.
What smells like steak and seats 35?
Canyonero. Very different. That's a fantastic episode. Steve Ed says, Todd, no, I don't know what that refers to, but hi, yes. Anyway, How do we feel about an 06 997 C4S as a first sports car? Will Young. I feel pretty good about that. I mean, keep in mind that is the era still of the IMS bearing, and so ponder that. There's the other issue that I'm drawing a blank on right now. Chance is going to help me. But anyway, there are known issues with those engines of that era. You have to get past 09 to get away from those engine issues. But the 997 is one of my very favorite 911s ever. It's the right size 911.
Yeah,
I think you would enjoy it. What's the condition of that car? How comfortable are you with actually maintaining it when it needs it? I'm not saying it's going to need maintenance, but those are cars you can't ignore the maintenance, and the Porsches run long if you maintain them ahead of time. So keep that in mind.
Seth K is wondering if he's saving the manuals if he buys a PDK or a DCT equipped car. Have we not saved the manuals already? Every time I turn around, every new exotic introduced at Monterey now is a V12 with a manual. Gordon Murray and the Nilo 27. We've done it, right? Are we here? We've saved them. We can say the manufacturers have seen enthusiasts buying manual equipped cars, and now they're striving to put them in. I feel like we're closer than we were, but if you mean save the manuals by saving them for other people.
Apparently that's exactly what he means, because you're not saving the manuals. No manufacturer thinks they should make more manuals because you bought a PDK or a DCT, but I like the joke very, very much. That's very good.
I mean, we're seeing manual swaps. We're seeing new cars being built with manuals, and it's almost like the holy grail now is for a resto mod with a manual. So I feel like we're close. Are we not? Like we've done whales, polar bears.
Whoa. Those are equivalent. It's exactly the
manuals
same.
Now?
It's exactly the same. Yes.
Are we there yet?
What's the ribbon color for manual?
I don't know.
All the ribbons that come with a little shape that we had, some years at the Oscars is like just a sea of ribbons. It's like the Hollywood equivalent of I went to war. Here's all the ribbons that I have. What's the ribbon color that we can get for Save the Manual? Somebody figure that out.
That's what we need aluminum, I guess.
There you go. It's an aluminum color. It's
metal.
Probably chalk now that I think about it, just to know.
Chalk is nasty.
Church of Petrol, thank you for your super chat there. Have either of us had non-car friends get into the hobby? If so, how much did you try and guide their journey versus letting them find their own way? Yes, in a couple of cases, you have your brother-in-law you can talk about.
I can
but I'm going to talk about my friend Nathan from Los Angeles. Not a car guy, but he and his wife have done very well with a very successful business they fought very, very hard on. So he has gotten to that place where in a couple of cases, he was like, I want to buy these couple of vehicles that I've never really thought about having before. And one was an old Scout that he wanted to have kind of resto modded. And that is not my thing. Don't care.
Is that a manual?
Wouldn't say it is actually.
It is a manual.
I wouldn't say let's go get an old Scout. I would have never thought of that. But I know Nathan. He's a buddy, and it's very much Nathan. So when he brought that up, I was like instantly with myself was like, no, don't do that. No. And then I was like, wait. I wouldn't do it, but you can. And so I kind of helped him, guide him a little bit, but I kind of had to understand, if you will, the rules of the game he was playing. Because he's not coming in and wanting to be like, I want to be a specific kind of car guy that is exactly like what you guys talk about. He was like, oh, I'm interested in cars and you know about cars and I'm kind of thinking about this. And I had to kind of try to help him in his area, because that's the real key thing. As we've said over and over and over.
Don't look over there. We don't know them.
Yeah, exactly right. We want you to love the car you own and drive. Okay. And this isn't his daily still, but he's driven it up from LA to Park City a couple of times and I've driven it as well. And look, I'll be candid. I don't enjoy it, but I like that he enjoys it. So that's the key thing for us, is we want you to have a car that you love driving. And if that's not a car we like, that's fine. I have responded many times to YouTube comments where people are raging because they have a car that didn't come in first. And I'm always like, you have a car you love. Victory. That's the big thing for me, especially if somebody has not been a car person and now kind of is, and they're excited about buying something that's not an appliance. Let's help for sure.
I have learned a lot about Saabs in the last 2 years.
Yes, you have.
And I am so glad my brother-in-law Daniel has discovered Saabs and therefore discovered driving and car collecting and car shows and just enjoying the car enthusiast community, which is what we love. Of course, it's all about the community, right? But he has actually taught me things about what he's discovered about Saab and the engineers. And did you know this is how they did it? And this is how Saabs worked, and engines were transversely mounted, and where the key is located, and all this stuff. I knew about the key, but still, I've really come to appreciate this car company that doesn't exist anymore, but it seems like it does because he keeps getting swag and keeps going to Saab car shows. And there's a huge following behind Saab still. And I wonder about other car companies. I mean, I guess collectively, I feel like we all sort of ignore companies that died. I mean, there's I suppose the Pontiac crew. Nobody's really going after like the Oldsmobile shows. Right? Nobody's.
You go to the old show this weekend? The what now?
Nobody. That's not a thing.
Oldsapalooza?
Right? Like,
there's somebody write that out. That'll be exciting. Yeah.
But there's models, of course, that aren't sold. There's the alpha community for specific models, that kind of thing. But I'm so glad. I feel this sense of pride because he is into it now, and he sends me photos of wherever he's at, and he is making friends and connecting with other enthusiasts. They've, it's now a baseline, just like we all have. Suddenly, if you find out, doesn't matter if you're into that brand and I'm into this brand. It just matters that we're in the car. So I feel very proud that is happening. So I try to answer questions when they come through on text. I'll answer it and like, oh yeah, what a great question. So anyway, I'm very pleased.
There are 3 questions I'm going to try to tie together. They're all about tall people in cars. Vampire Bear is saying, can we contact Mike Musto and let him know how much room there is in the Elise for big drivers? He's been trying to talk him into an Elise on his show for a while. Yes, the thing that connects to a question down here from Jova, who says he wants to know how I fit in a Miata from a fellow tall person. I don't fit in the Miata. I do fit in the Elise. This is the thing that most people don't realize. You look at the two of them side by side and you think, of the two, a tall person is bound to be better off in the Miata. Haven't they sold 1 million of those? Millions, in fact. So wouldn't that be bound to work? I like the Miata so much, and I drive it like this. Just my head to the, or like this. These are my options. And with a helmet, it's just not even happening. And I really like
one on
the
each
car.
foot.
Seriously, I cannot fit in it. The Elise, as crazy as that door opening is, once I'm in, I have a little bit of space, and I can wear a helmet in the Elise, and I'm not at some weird angle. You wouldn't ever think it. The Elise has a surprising amount of space, which brings us to Miggy McManus, who says, how do tall people fit in the S2000? The S2000 is right between the two for me. I've got a little bit more room than the Miata, but not as much as the Elise. It's right on the border. And the thing that happens in all of these is, what's your torso ratio? Because Paul and I are both 6'3". I have a longer torso, so people think I'm taller than him because that's how it presents on camera. But the reality is I just sit higher in a car, and I have to really worry about it. I keep telling my son to stop growing so he fits in everything. He's not listening.
The kid is growing. Jim Ulsh asks, which automotive TV shows would we like to guest on? His recommendation for me is Pimp My Ride.
That's interesting. Yeah, because of design. I see that.
I suppose design, and I suppose maybe because I like to spend more money, and so we'll just opt for the next thing. Like, we could do this. Yes,
you could give good guidance on Pimp My Ride, though. You really could, yeah.
And Todd, you on Auto Week.
I have no idea why, but
Auto Week, the tie-in there is what?
I don't know. I don't know. I can talk about cars, I guess. I don't know what the issue is, but anyway, yeah. Chances bringing Bohr scoring on the 991s. That is something that I couldn't think of the name of, and I knew you would. So thank you, Chance. Let's see what else we got here.
If I were to move on from my Cayman GTS, would I get another Cayman, or would I reach for a 911? Question from Ryan Stamp. Ryan, thank you so much. Why don't you give me a paper cut and pour lemon juice in it? Because yes, I think about this a lot. I love my Cayman, don't worry. But now I'm looking at 981 GT4 Caymans, and I found 2 in sapphire blue, and they're nothing like having more money to spend on the cars. So if I were to do that, I'm actually kind of looking at the 981 because I love the styling so much more. Although the new 718s, obviously turbocharged, obviously, let's make them. The styling isn't as good, I don't feel like. But
the styling of your era is the absolute best one for sure. It looks fantastic.
On point. And then GT4 version of that car,
it's aging really, really well. I found
a couple of them.
Ted Logan says, thoughts on aftermarket shift knobs? Have either of us ever done this? Yes, I'm all for it. If you don't like the shift knob that came on the car from the factory, but I would say this: you have to really not like it. I think if the one you have there you like the shape or is okay, then I think stay with it. But on the original FRS, the original 86 that I had, I didn't like that shift knob, and the shifting wasn't quite what I hoped for. So I got this large, and you can see it on our old videos, I got this large kind of bulbous pretty heavy shift knob on the top, and it did actually help the shifting, and I like the look of it much better than the stock one. So if it's something you can do when you feel like you've improved the feel or improved look, sometimes every now and then a car manufacturer makes a stick shift car and the knob is just like, what were you thinking? So certainly that's something you can.
They
you can
weren't.
change out.
It was on
Obviously,
sale. It was the cheapest option.
there was a part there that used to be a knob on a cabinet, and now it's a shifter knob. I don't know.
Clearly did not pimp it.
Oldsapalooza. Somebody really likes that.
Come
Actually,
on.
David says that sounds like another great brand for us. That's what we need. Another brand. Everyday driver hooked on driving at Oldsapalooza. I don't know what happens there, but
I don't know that I want to go to that event. Really,
I hear you.
It sounds kind of boring, actually, unless it were really old cars. But then it turned into Monterey Car Week. Why don't we just go to Monterey Car Week and see all the cool stuff? Let's see. Justin Schultz was our first live car debate. We might remember the long spreadsheet. Justin, we've gotten a lot of long spreadsheets.
You're not alone in that. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you kind of gave everybody permission to do that. We've gotten a lot of spreadsheets. We've gotten a lot of comparison things. And I like that people do this to really see it on paper and sort out their thoughts. But ultimately, it comes down to emotion. And a spreadsheet cannot categorize emotion, what we actually love.
True. Very
you
true.
just can't do that. So he's asking, what new things might we try in the podcast? We've been asked about doing live streams every podcast. You talked about that a couple episodes ago, and it just seems like a lot of podcasts do that now. They're doing the studio thing, and they're doing whatever goes for a live podcast. This is why we're doing at least 4 per year. This is why we're doing this one, and I like that. But we're open to ideas. I like what Topic Tuesdays have become because they're a broader, unsolvable topic. I like the car conclusions. Of course, car debates are the bread and butter. Those are the foundation of the car debate. But we're open to ideas. If you've got something, we're definitely always wanting to consider stuff.
Mike Hildebrandt says, if you were buying rear-wheel drive for winter, what would we prefer? Higher horsepower V8 like a Mustang or lower horsepower 4-cylinder like a BRZ? Lives in Wisconsin. Would it be his daily? Mike, I'm going to say the obvious thing because you haven't mentioned it. Tires. Tires are going to matter so much for that rear-wheel drive in the winter. The reality is the low torque of the V8 Mustang is going to be more prone to lose traction easier. But again, it comes back to your tires. I would prefer the 4-cylinder like the BRZ, but I say that not because it's 4-cylinder over 8, but because it is the lighter car. Driving a light car in the winter with rear-wheel drive is wonderful because you get to a situation, again, tires, where you can put the back out and you can slide the car in when you want to, but also it doesn't when you don't want. Whereas a lot of heavier vehicles, when they do start sliding, it's almost impossible to get them back. So I prefer it because it's a lighter car, not because it is a less powerful car. You certainly could make a Mustang work, but if I were choosing between those two, it would be the lighter car for sure.
Jordan's asking me if I've ever had to set my own Paul limiter. And the only reason the limiter exists out there, but the finances behind it don't.
That's right. You don't have a limiter, but you have a self-limiting device that is budget.
If the finances were greater,
right. That's very funny.
The limiter would just follow out front like a carrot on a stick. It'd just keep going. I don't think I have. Man, he's encouraging me. The 981 GT4. Yes,
it's no money.
See,
it's no money. Yeah.
I hate it when
our own stuff comes
right back around. I'm guilty of that.
Nathan Goals says he needs to know if he needs to book a flight for podcast 1000. He's planning just in case. Nathaniel, here's the thing. You also might be able to drive to it. So there will be a thing you could drive to or fly to. It's going to depend on where you are in the country versus where it will be for 1000. So look, I'll give you one thing. There will be a live audience at the 1000.
Yes.
The where and the how, all of that's still to come.
John Katerify asking me, why aren't there more 3-seaters like the McLaren F1 on paper? It looks like a great layout. I would like to drive that F1 and determine if it is a great layout or not.
You're making that offer, maybe even a T50. Let's just try it. Let's just see.
T50.
We're here to find out, like you love to say.
That's all we do. Every question we pose to ourselves, we're like, well, we got to go find out. Again, there was that 70s, I think it was a late 60s or early 70s Ferrari that did a triple seat center driving layout. And it's been tried before. It just seems so exotic. It's got to be for a specific kind of car, which is obviously a very driver, high performance machine. I'm all for it. It just doesn't make sense to the public. To all of us enthusiasts, total sense. We're all about
Yeah.
it. But to most people, you mean I could sit on either side and you have to crawl over to get into the middle, and you're always in the middle. And that just, how do you roll your window down and get your fast food or your,
It's a different headspace for sure. It is. I mean, but it goes
Just
along with
imagine
the
all the
manual
scenarios.
transmission. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to have the extra work. Why doesn't it shift for itself?
center driving position, manual transmission, mid-engine V12 with the hot V, at least 1,000 horsepower.
No, we don't
And
need that much horsepower. I know I'm the only
$30,000.
person saying this in car culture, but we don't need that much horsepower. Trogdor is saying, if we could do a pimp my ride car, what would we pick and what would the gimmick be?
Do you have one?
I don't, but I'm throwing that out there because I'm pondering it now. That is very, very interesting. What would the gimmick be?
I got to think about that one.
How about a Chevy SS with the S's turned into Z's and gone ZZ Top style with it?
Okay.
I don't know what that looks like. It's going to have big like cycle
Certainly be
fenders
hot
now.
rodded a lot.
Hot rod the Chevy SS,
Yeah.
which is a fundamentally good car. That's the thing. I have to start with a fundamentally good car and then go weird with it. So that's the first one that comes to my mind. How about that?
Club Racer 6 is excited about the upcoming Amira NSX Amira piece.
Yes.
That included the
Mira NSX and the 360
modem.
Yeah.
What are some equally or more exciting and special 2+2 cars? Examples given are the Ferrari FF, GT350, ZL1, 1LE, Evora GT, and special 911 variants. You're absolutely spot on. I think all those cars are going to continually be looked back upon fondly.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And they're not going to go anywhere. I really do. The Modena was surprising. Can't wait to share this piece. So good. So excellent. The Ferrari FF is, of course, very intriguing, but it's going to be all the unloved cars when they came out. Everybody recoiled in horror that will, in the future, 10, 20 years down the line, be like, they were so far ahead of their time, Ferrari FF. And then they went puro sang, and why do we need an SUV from Ferrari?
Adventures of Misty and Mike, I saw this question earlier. I think that maybe a topic Tuesday. I'm going to see if I can cover this quickly. What do we think of Ford rolling back EV, SUV production in favor of hybrids? They're acknowledging that we've said for a while that the EV timeframe will be walked back. We have said it. I stand by it. But the reality is the market is speaking here. That's the thing.
Definitely.
Is there was the big swing for EV mandates by governments around the world that were done, let's be honest, to get votes. They weren't done with an eye on, can this be done? Will the market support it? Do people like it? Do we have the infrastructure? None of that was actually a reason to stand at the podium and say, I'm going to do this. Okay. And now the reality is dawning. And the truth is we have these standards that the car makers are supposed to meet, and they're realizing, can we tweak the standard, or can we meet it some way other than an EV that the audience or the buyer will actually find more palatable? If, let's be honest, if people were buying every EV possible, none of this would be changing. But the infrastructure is holding it back more than anything. I mean, we've talked recently about the fact that we've finally gotten some fast chargers here locally, but the reality of getting them charged and all of that situation and getting something you can afford that you like, all of these are still factors. So I feel like more than anything, it's not even political, it's not even infrastructure, it's just the market is speaking. And so far, people don't want them like the government thought they would if they put the mandate out. But I also think there's this. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. When the government says, you must do this, and you haven't even thought of it, we almost always go, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Now, if you already were on board and the government said do it, you're like, thankfully, the government finally caught up to me. But if the government announces it, you're like, what? I'm not going to do that.
True.
There's that as well.
I found it fascinating that the chief financial officer for Ford did the announcement instead of Jim Farley, the CEO.
Good point.
And I saw a commenter on some financial article that I saw. They were wondering if that means Jim Farley's days were numbered by having the CFO do this, even though you could see that because it has to do with readjusting their outlook for Wall Street, the CFO
exactly what it was. Yes.
Was tasked with doing that. But you're right. I think car companies want to make a profit and they want to be leaders. And so whatever technology or anything that everybody is suddenly into that suddenly seems promising, they were all on board with. Autonomy just 5-6 years ago was the thing.
Absolutely.
And every manufacturer was trying to figure out, how are we going to go autonomous? Because we have to do it pretty much tomorrow. Why don't we have autonomous cars already? We've got to do it. And then testing revealed the world isn't ready for full autonomy
Yes.
yet. There's some of it, it's still being rolled out, but it's continually evolving. Same thing with EVs. There was an instant jump towards it and redefining the brand. Ford, Audi, Volvo, everybody was then very careful with their language and how things were worded.
Yes, for sure.
And then the market speaks, and then CEOs realizing, we still have to make a profit because many car companies are publicly traded. They do have forecasts, and we do have to meet those forecasts. Stocks drop if they don't. And so it's important for car companies to still make a profit based on what they're known for, but they need to continually improve, do it better, find out how to make a manufacturing process more efficient, better, so they can make a profit. I talk about manufacturing a lot. It's such a big deal because that's what the price of a car hinges on. It's not necessarily design or the styling or features or anything like that. It comes down to manufacturing so much, and we see that reflected in Teslas. We see that, like, wow, Teslas are still having problems, but that doesn't deter other people from buying them.
Certainly. There's so many other factors, but I also want to mention there's a key word in all of the EV discussion when all of these manufacturers make big swings, or even when there's governmental mandate big swings. It always talks about the fleet being electrified. That is key. It does not say the fleet's going to be all electric. They're going to be electrified, and hybrids do count. And we're seeing that across the board. I mean, I can't remember the name right now. I can't pronounce the name right now, but the new Lamborghini, baby Lamborghini, is 1,000 horsepower almost because it's electrified. It's a hybrid.
Electrified. Temerario.
Perfect.
You gotta roll your arms,
you're welcome to have that.
I'm not Italian. I'm not even close to Italian, but I do like the Italian language. I'm fascinated by Ford's. We're way out front. GM did it too just a few months ago. Mary Barra was sort of ooh, about that statement that I gave earlier. Let me clarify, walk back, actually tell you I was kidding.
I was in both feet, and now I'm slowly stepping out. Take one foot out.
We were kidding because we actually have to make a profit. And Church of Petrol, the CEO of Ford, Jim, is cousin to Chris Farley, not brother, but you can see in his face, it was just, I keep wanting him to say funny stuff. Maybe he said too much funny stuff. And they were like, nope, not you. We'll get the CFO to talk to Wall Street.
Tom E is asking about Hooked on Driving. Thank you. He says, what fluids or parts should we be swapping out for a high-performance driving event? Just did his first day, already did it with Hooked on Driving. Thank you for going. Plans to do more, quickly getting sucked down into internet rabbit holes. Okay, Tom, this is one of the biggest black holes for your cash, so be careful. It is, if you're only going to do a few track days a year, you don't have to go about modding your car for track use. That is not worth it. What you're going to do, okay, if you're going to make a track car, totally different conversation. It's the only
crazy.
But it's the only time you're going to drive it is on track. Then let's start chasing stuff. But if you're going to be like we are, and like most people that come to Hooked on Driving, you're driving your car that you normally drive, and now you're taking it to a track day. Don't worry about trying to make it a track car, because what'll happen is you'll ruin it for the 75% of the time you're not on track. Okay.
It's very easy to do.
90% of the time you're not on track. The things you should do is upgrade the quality of your brake pads, but even before that, upgrade the quality of your brake fluid. The high temp brake fluid is key. That is probably the number one thing that is going to let you down earlier than all that money that the internet is telling you must put into tracking your car. Ignore all that. Put that money aside for tires. And just don't worry about the fact that you drove there on a set of tires. You did a track day on a set of tires. Those tires are now done. And then you go, bummer, because all that money you didn't spend changing your car is waiting there for new tires.
You've got to think differently about tires when it comes to this new activity, because most people buy a set of tires thinking in the back of their mind, we're good. It's like you bought a couch.
Yes.
We're good for like
years.
For like a decade, right? I got the couch. Just keep it clean. Don't break anything. I've got it. The tires are just going to be around forever. And depending on your usage, you'll be like, how did I use up an expensive set of tires so quickly? But if you budget for it, you're aware of it. And it is a lot of fun. This is what people discover, that it's a lot of fun to use up tires. So you've got to be careful about how you approach it. But, if you get a second set of wheels and tires, then that helps. It's like, 2 pairs of shoes instead of 1 pair of shoes all the time. But got a comment from MK watching from Japan. Thank you so much.
Cool.
We really appreciate it. We see a lot of your comments on the test drive channels. on this channel and our other channel as well. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. We've got to get to Japan. I went in 2016. I was in Tokyo, and I actually visited the Hyundai design studio in Yokohama. Hyundai doesn't sell, to my knowledge, Hyundai still does not sell any cars in Japan, and Samsung is not there either. So it was really interesting to experience Japanese culture, and I got to go to a lot of different areas. It was fantastic. I cannot wait to go back and explore more of the car culture. I was on the tech side when I did that visit, but thank you so much for listening, for watching. We really appreciate it. And the question here is, what person would we really want to meet? So if we come to Japan, we'll meet MK, but who have you thought of that you really want to meet? I suppose living or dead.
We've had this before. I know where you're going to go. If you're going to go living or dead, I know exactly who your answer is going to be.
It's kind of consistent.
Go for it.
All the
Go
same.
for it.
It's
I know
always
who it
Paul
is.
Newman.
I know that's what he would say. Yeah.
Meet the man. It just,
that's cool.
So interesting what his life was like. And I suppose Steve McQueen would be up there.
I see that. Yeah.
But it'd be cool to talk to Patrick Dempsey and talk about his racing career measured up against what he's dealt with in Hollywood. I think that'd be an interesting conversation. I think it'd be cool to meet the CEOs of all the car companies that we think will never see the cars or never visit the company. Koenigsegg and Rimac. I think Mate would be a really interesting discussion.
I agree. That'd be very cool. Yeah.
Gordon Murray, of course, is a benchmark. And Sasha Salipanov. I met Sasha. He's the designer of that Nilu 27, that hot V12, with the hot V and manual, 1,000 horsepower, cool concept car that was debuted. And I think it'd be cool to talk to Sasha too.
Let's see. Trogdor asked if I still have my lease on Hagerty DriveShare. First off, I think Hagerty sold DriveShare, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think
I don't have it on there anymore, because what I realized, you said, well, how was my experience with it? My experience as a renter was actually great. Everybody I rented to was very respectful. What I liked about DriveShare was the fact that I could essentially, up until the moment of handing the car off, I could still deny the rental, which I appreciated. And I always had people go for a tiny little, I would sit right seat and have them go on a little test drive, because I would always remember things to tell them when we did that. So I liked all of that. The experience was fine. My problem with it was, what I realized is, it never failed. The rental would pop up at the least opportune time. We were out of town, or I was doing something else that day, or it was just, I had so much trouble making, it sounds ridiculous, the schedule of it work, that I was like, I gotta stop this. I gotta pull it down.
Let's see. Some good discussion on here on the thread about EVs, and specifically EVs for tracking. And I still am fascinated that the latest round of EVs were all introduced at racetracks.
Yeah.
Taycan Turbo GT, the Ioniq 5N. I'm guessing there's going to be quite a few more, because even at the very high end, we're seeing all those cars. Well, we've got to create the track version, because it can't just be car to sell anymore. We've got to have a track version of it to really make it enticing. So I feel like we're here in a sweet spot. We could invite some of those owners to have a specific track day. See, my dream is like the very cool high-end track day. So all those owners that own all these cars, and they really drive them. They don't just sit. I think the T50, the Gordon Murray cars, would be driven quite a bit, but some of these others, I think they'll just be babied.
You're right.
Bring these to a track day. So let's set up a Hooked on Driving track day just for owners of these cars, the Koenigsegg's. And then we'll invite everybody listening, watching, just come watch.
There you go.
Like,
all
wouldn't
right.
it be interesting just to come meet all these owners and watch these cars and just thrash them? That's what they're for.
Mandy is acknowledging that she would also like Patrick Dempsey to come to one of our events. And the problem is, I know that if he did, then my wife's going to be there too.
Oh,
my wife is a huge Grey's Anatomy fan. And then we're way off into things that have nothing to do with cars. But at least Patrick Dempsey's at our track day. Okay, there was a track day since buying Hooked on Driving. There was a track day that we were related to but not in charge of, that Patrick Dempsey showed up at. My wife got angry. She was like, "What do you mean he was?" I was like, "Baby, we were so we were like 3 layers disconnected. It's like we could fly out there real quick that morning." But anyway, yeah, that happened too.
That's funny. Excellent. Yes, John C. John Caterify asking, "Come do Tail of the Dragon." We're talking about ideas. 2025 is not far away, so that's as much as I will say about that.
Elliot Manning is acknowledging that he was always frustrated that Toyota and Subaru were kind of read the riot act for not coming out with an EV and not being both feet in, and now they're looking like they were the smart ones. I mean, what's happening here, Elliot, and Paul already touched on a little bit. Again, 5 years ago, it was every car is going to be autonomous. Now it's every car is going to be electric.
Yeah.
What happens is that the non-car media, the media outside of cars, the only thing they really want to cover is something that's new and different. The word news. It's got to be new. Like when it comes to cover something new and different. And the things that are new and different are the things that the fringe part of the markets are exploring. So talking about everything's going to be autonomous, talking about everything's going to be EV. And those of us that are more embedded in the car world, we see the much larger picture because we care about all of it. And so that's the other thing that happened. And this is that I'm not pointing it out just because it's happened with cars. It happens with news in general, where what's the thing that is new and different that we can share that may be only a fringe of the topic we're talking about. So I think Toyota and Subaru were smart about it, but we're going to see, I think the next 5 years are fascinating.
Absolutely.
As all of this settles out, because here we are, 2024, and the first of those mandates were 2030. So that means the next 5 years of car creation is going to be fascinating as all of these markets settle out. I mean, we've also read about some niche manufacturers getting exceptions where they can keep making V12s. It's going to be a mix of all power plants, and I'm excited about that.
Did we talk about Eli Miller's question? What current cars are we most excited to drive in the next few months?
What's up? What do you
think? Eli, we are planning for the BMW Z car, the new Z40i
with the manual
transmission, with the ND3 Miata. We've got that on the books to shoot. I'm excited for the new AMG GT because Mercedes built the 928, the new 928, and of course the new 911 GTS. That's very interesting to me. And then the real heavy cars that everybody wanted, the new M5 Touring. Everybody, us included.
Yeah,
it's
hugely
heavy, but it's got all the numbers, the horsepower, the biggest brakes, the best everything. I want to drive this and understand what manufacturers are doing. Weight is weight, but let's see how they're managing it, and let's see what's going on with, the AMG GT is way too heavy too, and definitely the ZR1. That's really high on my list.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that. But I mean, we're just dealing with nutty horsepower here, but I'm very intrigued by that one. I would love to put all the Corvettes together. I know others have tried and failed to do that. It's a hard thing to try to get all those cars together. Let's put all the C8s in one big piece. It feels like something you and I could do well. But even if we got them piecemeal, it would be very cool to drive them all, especially as experienced as we are now with the C8 that you have. Let's see. Justin says, any cars that once bought, we'd have a hard time putting miles on it. Justin, I want to say no, because, but I'm going to answer yes and no, because this has been the interesting challenge and stretching experience for me with the Amira. And then I back it out of my garage into another car. Anyway, it's a separate thing. But the thing about the Amira is that car is far too expensive for someone like me to own. I mean, it really is. It's like, what on earth is going on there? But so I've had to remind myself, put PPF on it so the paint is protected, as has been proven already more than once. And the point of it is to drive it. So I've got 5,000 miles on that car, and I got it the middle of May. And we've taken 2 road trips. There's another couple coming up. I'm very excited about taking on road trips. Taking on a road trip was key, but it's been a nice challenge for me to have a car that has all the reasons why I should be precious with us, and then go, no. The point here is to drive it. So I'd like to think it wouldn't matter. The ones that have a hard time putting miles on would be the ones I couldn't trust. I would love to have an E-Type. Would love to.
Yeah.
But I really do think that every time I drove it, I celebrate the fact that I did a round trip. Because they're finicky.
Yeah.
They're old and they're finicky.
Like, we're back.
Yes.
I'm alive.
Yes. And I think, and look, I've never owned one. I've driven them, and I love driving them. And every time I drive one, I just think, I want one of these cars. And I think in the back of my mind, if I had one of those, I think it would probably have a 3-strike rule. If it left me 3 times in the middle of a drive, I think it would be very hard pressed to get it out of the garage again. Because what are we doing?
Yeah.
Also, and that
throw
also,
money at it to make it better, right?
That also is because I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't get any joy out of, it broke, so I'll just dig in and fix it. I don't want that. I want
I'll pay somebody else to dig in and fix it.
And that's the thing. So the ones that would be hard for me would be the ones I don't know that I could trust.
Two related questions here. Trogner147 asks, we've seen the unofficial renders of the new Toyota GR Celica. They're to bring it back. How would it slot into their lineup? They don't care. They just bring it back and make it. They've got 10 SUVs. That's a lot of SUVs. So for that car, they could just bring it back, no worries. But Trogdra, that made me think of the new MR2. Following up with John Katerify's question, who would love to see me downgrade for my next car, would the new MR2 be considered a downgrade? Because that does interest me if they do put an actual manual transmission, make it a GR car. It's the small MR2 mid-engine cool car. Don't know how much it would cost.
They're talking about it being EV too. We'll see what it's actually going to be.
Maybe we'll see.
But it's intriguing. Yeah.
But I've also seen a few articles about like, what if they're developing a 4-cylinder engine for this car? Maybe it would be both options. Do you consider that a downgrade? And that would be really compelling. But what the best part is, I could get that as the downgrade, and then that would open up the 911 buyership. What?
You downgraded so you could buy an even more expensive car on the other end to somehow balance the garage. That is fascinating. You know, I have very much thought about that after the Amira, we should go low again. Maybe even go into, you know, used cars that are surprisingly affordable.
MR2 is intriguing
and that's of the new ones. The one that I have heard rumored that I'm very curious about is if Mazda makes a sports car that's above the Miata. It's been called various names. There's been some really cool looking renders.
The RX-9.
Throw the R out of it.
Yes.
Give it a normal engine.
Yes.
Make it a hybrid. Whatever.
Yes.
But you know, anytime they drop a render for that car, I just go, yes, please. I would love for Mazda to drop something like that. I would be very much interested in looking into it. Be very, very cool for me, I think. But you know, and I would buy. This is crazy to say. I talked to Mike, who bought our GR86.
Oh, recently?
He's selling his perfect spec M3, his E90 4-door, because he just doesn't drive it, because he only drives the 86.
He's actually, it's up for sale?
He is trying to sell the E90, and
you're kidding
the car,
me.
The E90 is gorgeous. It's on our Icon film. It's a wonderful, it's the right one, the 4-door 6-speed, but he never drives it because he drives the 86 all the time and loves it. And the truth is, I would buy another 86 tomorrow. And I'm curious to see, because Toyota has done this with all of their sports cars in the last 15 years. Every year they make it a little bit better. They add extra parts. I'm curious what the next couple of years of tweaks are going to be on the 86, because I have a feeling by 2026 or 27, that might be the one to buy.
There's a lot of good cars coming. I am not worried. There's good stuff coming.
Kay says, car reviewers sometimes make a comment about such and such car handles great. Sometimes make a comment? I mean, that should be in pretty much every review. What does that mean? Never been on a track in a car, so he has no reference point. Kay, have you driven a van or an SUV followed by a small to mid-sized car like a Honda Civic? Okay. The first, because that's, most people have that kind of range of experience. The reality is that handling comes down to the way a car shifts its weight and hangs onto the road at the basest levels. What we're talking about. I get into geeky things like steering feel and you know, all kinds of other stuff, but at its core, it's about how does it handle its weight and how confident are you that you're not going to slide off the corner. Okay. And a huge box truck handles terribly because it's very heavy, it's very top heavy, it has terrible tires, and its purpose is to get places, not to turn. Okay, but you take a Miata, it's the exact opposite. The tires are good, it doesn't weigh very much, and its purpose is corners, not to go fast. These are somewhat attainable realities I'm talking about, but you can already understand even without driving them the difference. So handling is about that weight shift and the enjoyment that you get when the car is encouraging in a corner. There are plenty of cars. I'll give you one right now. The Cybertruck. The Cybertruck has no business handling as well as it does, hanging onto corners as well as it does.
Yeah, true.
But I didn't enjoy that. I was marveling at it. But the whole time I was just like, this doesn't feel right. Okay? Okay, seriously. It doesn't feel, it's like this doesn't connect to reality.
No, it does not.
So that's another part of handling too, is it has to feel like that was right. It's that thing you get when you do a sports play really well, or you're skiing really well, or you're dancing really well. Those are all weight shift movements. And when you nail them, you know it. That's what good handling is.
Ooh, suggestion here. What if we transmogrified the Cayman into a new MR2, like GR MR2? and the Corvette turned into an Artura. Huh?
Oh my gosh. I love that your budget keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
They're
Anyway.
they do different things. You take them on different kinds of activities, right? Right?
Jim is noting that the director of the old film Grand Prix and Ronin were both John Frankenheimer. He says, do we use any Frankenheimer techniques? Not specifically, no, but Frankenheimer was the original action director. Like the guy that just was able to create tension with high speed sequences. He was one of the first to do it really, really well.
What else did he do?
Very, very
Not just
impressed.
those two. He did a bunch of stuff.
He did a bunch of stuff. I'd have to look him up right now, but he did a bunch of stuff. Have we ever driven Church of Petrol? Another super chat. Thank you, man. Have we ever driven a right-hand drive car in the U.S.? If so, what did you think? It felt like a lot of trouble. I mean, yes, we have, but the reality is, you realize you're in a world not built for you. It's fine and it's cool. The weirdest part is you're shifting with your left hand, which you can get used to. But the thing I never get used to is your blinkers and your wipers swapped. And invariably, I am always turning on the wiper, and I should be over here for the signal, and it happens consistently. I would get used to it. I know that. The big thing I've always said about right-hand drive cars in the U.S. is if they made that car here, never buy the right-hand drive version. If you're buying a car they never sold here and it only comes right-hand drive, different conversation. If you want to be quirky, but like I see people that buy a 300ZX with right-hand drive, and I'm like, why? They made them here. Keep driving the ones they made here, because then the world works for you. That's my.
It's take. A badge of honor.
It absolutely is.
The JDM cars.
I did it, and you didn't.
Badge of honor that I have one, and you don't know about this because I drive.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the turn signals are swapped, but the clutch and gas is not.
True.
And the transmission shift pattern is still, so first is all the way out and away from you, where fifth or sixth should be. It's very strange. So that was the RX-7 at least, and the K cars. The Suzuki was
Cappuccino
was
yeah,
right?
Oh, of course. And so was the
Mazda AutoZam.
The AutoZam. Thank you. I would love to have an AutoZam, but I don't fit.
That's worse than Miatas.
It's worse than Miatas, which is terrifying.
They're bad for anybody.
Let's see.
Holy moly, that's been an hour already.
It has. We got to do a few more, but we have been flying, which is really, really good. Lots of debate going on about whether or not Tail of the Dragon is worth it. I always laugh. That is just such an easy nerve for people in the U.S. because Tail of the Dragon has such a reputation.
Yeah.
And I've heard this consistently, that there's many roads arguably as good that nobody knows about right around Tail of the Dragon. But of course, Tail of the Dragon is the thing you have to go. It's that badge of honor you have to go. And I still would like to drive it, but I like to drive a lot of stuff around it too.
HypnoToad22 ask any plans to get in the Mustang Mach-E Rally. He's listening to Matt on Smoking Tire. Sounds pretty fantastic. Would love to hear our take. We would like to. Actually, Jordan, who is tuned in as well, he drove that as well and had great comments. So it's interesting that sometimes there's a car model that comes out and one specific trim level is the sweet spot and the rest of them could just go away. That's what we're hearing about that rally as well. But I'm not seeing. Actually, we did see one at Boardwalk Lotus on the road trip.
Yeah, we did.
They had one in the parking lot.
They did, and I don't know who's buying it, but there it is. Yep, for sure. Jared Byer says he saw an 05 Elise on an auction site and it had less than 3,000 miles on it with one owner. He thinks that owner missed the point. Jared, you're 100% correct. If you bought that car new and it has I have 5,000 miles on my Amira and I've had it since May. Now, the downside is that means I haven't driven the Elise as much, but my Elise has almost 81,000 miles on it, and I'm pretty proud of that.
Winding down, guys. If we've missed a question, thank you so much. Keep sending. If we didn't get a question, please jump onto our social media and ask there and just add to the threads on there after we're cruising around in that 110 Land Rover 110 Defender. It's got a cool paint job on it, and the wheels look like Steely's, but they are actual alloy wheels painted gloss white. They're 20-inch wheels, so they look steely, but they're not. So yeah, we're spending the week in that. And like I said, please send your questions to social media, and we'll keep looking out for that. What else? Do you have any other wrap-up questions?
I mean, keep in mind that we are cranking out I'm going to apologize to you guys and also thank you, because as a result of buying Hooked on Driving, which we are still enjoying, and it's a whole other use of our brain, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah.
The reality is, though, that means we haven't done as many big pieces for our original channel. And I personally, as the filmmaker, am annoyed that we've slowed down. but this is the reality. So I apologize to you guys. They haven't been as good, but been as often, but you guys have done really good job of showing up when they drop. Thank you for that.
Yes,
we have some really big stuff coming in the back half of the year, and I want to just promote a couple of road trips and some really cool comparisons. You already know about the Lotus, Ferrari, and NSX one that's coming up. There's a lot of other really cool ones we haven't even shot yet, plus some really good road trips. So I hope that when we drop these, you guys will show up. You will watch them on a big screen because that's how they're intended. You'll share them with your friends. We appreciate that immensely. And, we have noticed that we're not putting out as many, and we're going to rectify that as we go into next year and kind of settle out a little bit. This year's been a lot. I have to tell you, it has been a lot, but we're enjoying ourselves. So thank you guys for being with us as always. The questions are so good, and
they're excellent.
I'm excited about all the other live podcasts we'll do. But remember, we record on Mondays and Thursdays for podcasts coming out Tuesdays and Fridays in general on all podcast platforms. It is audio only, and we welcome your questions on social media. Plus, you send in your car debates to everydaydrivertv@gmail. Plus, Topic Tuesdays, random musings. We read it all. We really do. So we'd love to hear from you.
Last comment about Hooked on Driving. We are coming to the Seattle area. A reminder, I'm looking at the calendar now, September 20 and 21, 2024. So on that Saturday morning, we're having a Cars and Coffee. Please come out from 9 to 11. See us at the Ridge Motorsports Park. And that is a 2-day event. If you want to get your car on track, good news, you can, hookedondriving.com. We will announce other locations. We're hoping to get to the East Coast for a few later in 2024. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that. And the podcast is the best way to find out about the dates that will be there. But, but Seattle, at least for the 20th and 21st.
And then we have our Utah event the next weekend here on the 28th and 29th of September, right here locally. We're doing a really cool drive
UMC,
day, followed by a track day at a local track, UMC. So if you want to come to that, we'd love to see you, because again, that is our last adventure of the year with a drive element. So, and then next year, it's so nuts already. The amount of planning for 25, guys, I can't even tell you how much, but it's
lots of
happening now.
ideas.
It's really cool.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Share the podcast, rate and review when you get a chance. And we're looking forward to next time as always. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you.